Welcome back to Mission of the Chosen. Tonight, what I share may unsettle your soul, stir questions you've buried, and ignite clarity where confusion has lived too long. Stay with me, your spirit needs this. You've been strong for so many, haven't you? The one who shows up, who holds the room together, who people call when their own worlds fracture. But in your quiet hours, the ceiling knows the weight you carry. At 3 a.m., when the world sleeps, you rehearse unpaid bills on your fingers, rehearse conversations you wish had gone differently, rehearse prayers that felt unanswered. By day, you smile and nod. By night, the silence feels suffocating. This is the truth nobody says aloud. You've been holding everyone else up while privately wondering who will carry you. You've become a cracked vessel that still pours. You've become weary beyond words, yet unbroken. And maybe, just maybe, you've whispered prayers you'd never dare speak out loud. God, do you even see me? Am I invisible in this struggle? I'm here to tell you, no, you are not invisible. Heaven has tracked every tear, every groan, every sigh you thought was wasted. That verse you've skimmed 100 times? Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. It wasn't meant for someone stronger, it was meant for you. Pause and let that sink in. Rest is not weakness, it's strategy. The world has convinced you to hustle harder, grind faster, push through the pain. But what if the most radical, most terrifying act of warfare is to rest? Look at Joseph, betrayed by brothers, sold into slavery, accused and imprisoned, 13 years of silence. Everyone thought his story was over, but God was quietly positioning him. One day in chains, the next in Pharaoh's court, not punishment, preparation. Or Esther, hidden in obscurity, waiting in silence, seemingly insignificant. But her pause was not punishment either. It was preparation for the moment she would save a nation. And Daniel exiled, forced into silence, stripped of all that was familiar. Yet in that exile, God sharpened his vision, trained his faith, and forged integrity that kings couldn't ignore. Do you see the pattern? Silence precedes revelation. Hiding comes before unveiling. Delay is design, not denial. Right now, in your pause, God is downloading wisdom you don't even realize you're receiving. He's knitting together opportunities that would overwhelm you if you saw them all at once. He's shaping faith muscles that will one day hold up more than you can imagine. You think you've been stuck. Heaven says you've been preserved. You think you've been overlooked. Heaven says you've been hidden for safekeeping. You think dreams have died. Heaven says they're being refined. Write this where you'll see it. My pause has purpose. Say it aloud, again, because every time you declare it, you realign your spirit with heaven's blueprint. Here's the hidden truth. Exhaustion is not always the enemy. Sometimes exhaustion is the evidence you've carried weight that was never yours to bear. You've believed the lie that survival depends on your effort. But listen closely, God's abundance has never required your burnout. His favor has never depended on your sleepless nights. His plan doesn't unfold by the volume of your hustle. Rest is not retreat. Rest is warfare. It terrifies darkness because when you rest, you position yourself where God fights for you. That's why Hebrews says, "Let us labor therefore to enter into that rest." It takes effort to stop running on empty. It takes courage to let go of control. Hell doesn't fear your noise, your activity, or even your declarations. What shakes hell is your peace. What terrifies demons is your stillness in the shadow of the Almighty. Because stillness says, God, I trust you more than I trust myself. Think of David before Goliath. The giant expected armor, swords, and a fight. Instead, he faced a boy with a sling, 5 smooth stones, and faith. Victory didn't come from David's effort, it came from David's rest in God's strength. That's what made the impossible possible. And that's why you, right now, must not despise this pause. It is not punishment, it is divine surgery. In your stillness, God is cutting away lies, healing hidden wounds, mending scars nobody saw. Like a surgeon working while the patient is unconscious, heaven is working in your rest. Jacob walked away from wrestling broken and limping, yet renamed and transformed. Noah endured months in an ark, hidden and sealed away, while the flood erased everything familiar. To others, it looked like confinement. To God, it was consecration. What you call isolation, heaven calls incubation. Here's what you must grasp. You are not losing time. Time itself is bowing to your destiny. The cocoon doesn't waste the caterpillar's days, it gives wings. The desert you've been in, seeds have been waiting under the soil. When the first drop of heaven's rain falls, transformation won't take years, it will happen overnight. So let the world hustle, let them measure worth by exhaustion. You be still. Because the God who has numbered your hairs, who has held your tears in bottles, who has orchestrated galaxies, he's the one orchestrating your next chapter. And it will not look like striving, it will look like sudden breakthrough. Your silence has been mistaken for absence, but heaven has been building an answer so loud it will shake the ground beneath your waiting. The pause in your life is not wasted. It is a workshop where heaven chisels you into a vessel capable of carrying what you once thought impossible. You've seen delay as rejection, but it has always been refinement. Think back over your journey, every betrayal, every door that slammed in your face, every season of being overlooked. Each one pressed you into a deeper dependence on God, teaching you what no textbook or mentor could have offered. You see, struggle is often the soil of revelation. Some truths are not learned in prosperity, they are carved into your spirit during scarcity. Some wisdom doesn't arrive when applause is loud, but when silence is deafening. The furnace of trial burns away illusions, and what is left, though painful, is purer, stronger, unshakable. That's why your story matters more than you realize. You've been asking, why me? But a better question is, why not me? Why shouldn't God choose the one who knows pain firsthand, who has been cut deeply enough to carry deep compassion, who understands loneliness enough to recognize it in others? It's often the most cracked vessels that pour the clearest water. Consider Moses, forgotten in the wilderness for 40 years. From the outside, his life looked wasted. From the inside, God was emptying arrogance, reshaping his identity, and teaching him to hear in solitude. Only after the silence did the burning bush appear. That silence prepared him for an assignment so vast that rushing would have destroyed him. Or think about David. He was anointed long before he wore the crown. After the oil touched his head, he wasn't promoted to the palace, he was sent back to the fields. That delay was not denial, it was training. Every day with sheep prepared his hands for the sling, his heart for leadership, his ears to hear God in obscurity. Without the fields, he could not have faced Goliath. And you, yes, you are walking a similar path. Heaven has not mocked you with promises. Heaven is maturing you to hold them. Do not confuse development with disqualification. The world has tried to tell you that quiet years mean wasted years, but the Spirit whispers otherwise. In hiddenness, roots go deep. In stillness, foundations set. That's why this season is holy. When others measure worth by platforms, heaven measures by depth. When others chase speed, heaven cultivates strength. You are not late, you are aligned. And let's not ignore the cost you've paid. You've smiled through heartache, given while empty, prayed while questioning, hoped against evidence. That endurance hasn't gone unnoticed. God has been cataloging your sacrifices. Every unseen act of faith, every hidden prayer, every tear shed in silence, they've been stored in heaven's account. And the payout, when it comes, will not be small. But here's what you must grasp. What's coming is not just about survival. It's not about scraping by or barely catching a break. No, it is about abundance. Not abundance as the world defines it, shiny objects, fleeting applause, but abundance that satisfies the soul. Abundance that gives rest where striving once lived. Psalm 23 paints it clearly. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Do you see it? Restoration comes in stillness. Renewal comes not in frantic grasping, but in lying down, in being led. This is where your warfare changes. Instead of pushing harder, you learn to trust deeper. Instead of proving your worth, you receive His word over you. Chosen, beloved, set apart. Your niche is not to mimic the noise of the world, but to model a different rhythm. You will not run yourself into the ground to gain ground. You will not trade peace for progress. You will not confuse hustle with holiness. Your path is marked by a divine paradox. By resting, you advance. By surrendering, you conquer. By yielding, you inherit. Does that mean life will never hurt again? No. But it does mean hurt will no longer hold you hostage. You'll feel storms without being drowned. You'll face giants without trembling. You'll endure seasons without losing sight of eternity. And here is a mystery you may not have considered. Heaven allows certain struggles not to break you, but to build testimony. How else will you recognize a miracle if you've never needed one? How will you celebrate freedom if you've never felt chains? How will you carry hope for others if you've never cried the same tears? Every scar has purpose. Every delay has reason. Every silence holds strategy. When you embrace that, fear loosens its grip. Anxiety loses its voice. Regret becomes irrelevant. But let me speak to something even deeper: identity. You've believed you were overlooked, but truth says you've been reserved. Reserved for an hour such as this, for a calling others could not carry, for a moment designed to need your exact story. That's why doors closed. That's why people walked away. That's why opportunities dried up. You weren't meant to fit where you didn't belong. And now the time comes where heaven unveils what it has concealed. You are not just coming out of hiding, you are emerging with evidence. Evidence that faith in the unseen bears fruit in the seen. Evidence that silence was not abandonment. Evidence that surrender is strength. Pause and imagine. What if the very weight that almost crushed you becomes the testimony that lifts someone else? What if your midnight whispers become someone else's morning song? What if your scar becomes someone else's signpost that healing is possible? That is why you're still here. That is why the weight didn't kill you. That is why the night didn't swallow you. Heaven has need of you. The world has need of what only you can carry. And so, breathe differently tonight. Rest differently tonight. Believe differently tonight. Not because your circumstances have shifted yet, but because your understanding has. You are not waiting for worth, you already have it. You are not begging for belonging, you were chosen before time began. You are not scrambling for survival, you are positioned for overflow. Let the world keep shouting. Let others keep striving. You stand still, because heaven is moving even when you cannot see it. And when it breaks open, you will not just see change, you will embody it. The ground beneath your waiting is trembling. The silence is cracking. And very soon, what was hidden in shadows will walk into the light with your name written on it. Think about how long you've been carrying strength for everyone else. You've been the anchor in other people's storms, the steady hand when chaos erupted, the calming voice when fear spread. Yet when your own night grew darkest, who held you? Who listened when your soul cried out in silence? The truth is, few noticed, even fewer stayed, and that emptiness cut deep. But there's a reason you felt this separation. Heaven wasn't ignoring you, it was isolating you. Separation is uncomfortable, even painful, but separation is also sacred. Gold must be pulled from earth before it's purified. Diamonds must be cut before they shine. Seeds must break in darkness before they sprout. That's what has been happening to you. You are not discarded. You are distinguished. You are not abandoned. You are being anointed. You've mistaken loneliness for punishment when it was actually preparation. Heaven kept you from certain people, certain circles, certain opportunities because they would have diluted your destiny. You thought it was rejection, but it was protection. And now, the fruit of your hidden season is ripening. Look at Elijah alone at a brook, fed by ravens, waiting while the land dried out in famine. To most, it looked like exile. To heaven, it was preservation. Only after that hiddenness did fire fall from heaven on Mount Carmel. Or consider John the Baptist alone in the wilderness, eating locusts and honey, sounding strange to his generation. But in that wilderness, he became the voice that prepared the way for Christ. His obscurity was not wasted. It was his assignment. You too are being forged in solitude, and when heaven unveils you, it won't be for noise. It will be for necessity. Your words will cut through confusion. Your presence will shift atmospheres. Your testimony will unlock chains for others. But here's what you must embrace now. There's no need to rush your unveiling. Trust the pace of heaven. Trust that when the curtain lifts, you'll already be equipped. You won't need to scramble for preparation because your preparation has already happened in silence. The world rewards performance, but God rewards patience. The world demands constant proving, but God delights in quiet trust. That's why he says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness isn't passivity, it's positioning. Stillness places you where God moves on your behalf. Let's speak plainly about the weight you've been carrying. Financial pressure has tried to strangle your faith. Relational disappointments have drained your energy. Delayed dreams have whispered lies that maybe you're not good enough. Yet through it all, you kept walking, you kept showing up, you kept praying, even if the prayers were only whispers. That perseverance is not wasted. Every step you took in faith, however small, is being multiplied now. This is where perspective matters. You see obstacles. Heaven sees opportunities. You see delay. Heaven sees design. You see heartbreak. Heaven sees capacity. Shift your perspective, and suddenly, the whole story changes. Think of Joseph again. If his brothers had never betrayed him, he never would have reached Egypt. If Potiphar's wife hadn't lied, he never would have entered the prison. If the cupbearer hadn't forgotten him, Pharaoh never would have called for him. Every wound became a doorway, every disappointment became a setup, every closed door redirected him toward destiny. Your story is no different. What you thought was the end was simply a bend. What you called failure was often a filter, removing what couldn't travel with you. What you called unfair was in fact divine alignment. And yes, it hurt. Yes, it drained you. Yes, it left you questioning. But look at you now, you're still standing. And not only standing, but stronger, wiser, and carrying authority you couldn't have gained otherwise. This is why you must never despise your scars. Scars tell the truth that you've been wounded, but you've also been healed. Scars testify to survival. Scars remind you that pain has an expiration date, but purpose does not. Lean into this. Your scars are not shameful. They are sacred. They are proof that what tried to bury you failed. They are proof that grace is stronger than grief and faith louder than fear. Now, let's talk about timing. You've asked again and again, when? When will the shift come? When will the breakthrough happen? When will prayers turn to answers? Let me assure you, timing belongs to God, and His timing is always tied to purpose. He does not release prematurely, because premature release kills potential. A fruit picked too early is bitter. A baby born too soon struggles to survive. Destiny released too early can destroy rather than bless. So if you're still waiting, it's not because heaven has forgotten you. It's because heaven is ensuring that when the moment comes, nothing can steal it. When the door opens, it will stay open. When the blessing lands, it will not wither. When the breakthrough arrives, it will carry you further than you imagined. Your responsibility is not to predict timing, but to prepare for it. Keep oil in your lamp. Keep faith in your spirit. Keep hope alive even in silence. Because the moment heaven says, now, everything changes instantly. Let me remind you of this. One day in God's favor outweighs years of striving. One moment of divine acceleration can redeem decades of delay. Joseph learned it, Esther lived it, David proved it, and you will experience it. So breathe. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. The author of time is still writing, and the next chapter is worth the wait. The desert you've endured is about to bloom. The silence you've survived is about to sing. The weight you've carried is about to lift. The silence that once crushed you will soon become the stage where heaven announces your arrival. You've probably wondered why the pressure has been so intense, why the battles came from every direction at once, why, just when you thought relief was near, another wave came crashing. It's because the weight you carry isn't ordinary, and the assignment over your life isn't common. Heaven doesn't allow such resistance unless the birth is significant. Think about childbirth. The closer the delivery, the sharper the contractions. Pain doesn't signal failure, it signals that something is about to be born. That's why your recent battles have felt unbearable. It's not because you're weak, it's because heaven is pushing something through you that will change not only your life, but the lives of others. The enemy isn't fighting you over your past, he's fighting you over your future. If there were nothing valuable ahead, hell wouldn't waste its energy on you. But the more relentless the attack, the clearer the evidence that breakthrough is near. Look at Job. He lost everything, family, wealth, health, yet the onslaught wasn't random. It was targeted, because heaven had already declared Job faithful. What Job endured wasn't punishment, it was proof. And when the storm lifted, what was restored doubled what was lost. That's the rhythm of God. Subtraction before multiplication, pruning before abundance, silence before revelation. And you're living in that tension right now. But here's what you must not miss. Your survival itself is testimony. What tried to kill you failed. What tried to silence you only sharpened your voice. What tried to crush you has only proven your resilience. You've been through nights that should have broken your mind, but your spirit endured. That endurance is evidence that something greater is at work. This is why Scripture says, "When I am weak, then I am strong," because weakness exposes where God's strength begins. You've been living proof of this verse without realizing it. The moments you thought you couldn't continue, yet still did, that wasn't your willpower, it was grace holding you. Grace is the reason you're still breathing. Grace is why despair never had the final word. Grace is why the night couldn't extinguish your light. And now grace is shifting from survival to revival, not just keeping you alive but bringing dead dreams back to life, not just holding you together, but launching you into places you never imagined. Consider Lazarus. 4 days in the tomb, wrapped in grave clothes, hopeless in human eyes. But at the word of Christ, what was dead responded to life. That same voice is speaking into your silence now. What you thought was buried for good is stirring. Dreams, vision, hope, they're all responding to heaven's command. Come forth. But don't miss this detail. Lazarus came out still bound in grave clothes. It took others to loose him. That's why community matters. You're not meant to walk this road alone. Yes, your hidden season was necessary, but your revealed season will involve others. Heaven is sending people who will help unwrap what's been bound. Allies, mentors, friends, people who see beyond your scars into your potential. This is why you must not isolate in shame. Shame thrives in secrecy, but healing grows in connection. The same God who healed you privately will send voices to confirm it publicly. And together, you'll walk into freedom. Don't mistake me. Freedom doesn't mean ease. It means empowerment. It means the same battles that once crushed you will no longer control you. It means triggers that once silenced you will no longer define you. It means the weight that once bowed your shoulders will become the testimony you stand on. Let's talk about your identity again. You've been named by pain, by labels, by others' opinions, but those names are not your truth. Heaven has always spoken a different name over you, beloved, chosen, redeemed, set apart. You've been hidden so long that you started to question if those words were real. But you're about to see them manifest in undeniable ways. Identity is not earned, it is received. You don't hustle for it, you don't negotiate for it. It was sealed before your first breath. You've only been on a journey of remembering what heaven already declared. This is why surrender matters. Surrender is not weakness, it's alignment. Surrender says, I trust heaven's version of me more than the world's version. And when you stand in that truth, no opinion can move you, no rejection can cripple you, no failure can define you. Think about Jacob again. He spent years wrestling for blessings, hustling for approval, deceiving to gain position. But transformation came when he stopped wrestling and surrendered. Broken, limping, stripped of pride, that's when heaven renamed him Israel. Your own wrestling has left scars, but scars are the place where heaven often writes new names. Don't despise the limp you carry. It's the mark of encounter. It's the reminder that you've wrestled and survived, and now you carry a different authority. People may see weakness, but heaven sees authenticity. And authenticity is what this world desperately needs. So, lift your head. The season of hiding is nearing its end. The night has been long, but dawn always comes, and when it does, no shadow can stop the light. Pause and let this settle. You are not here by accident. You didn't stumble onto these words by coincidence. Heaven timed this moment to remind you your story isn't over. In fact, the most significant chapters are just beginning. Everything you've endured has been shaping capacity. Capacity to carry influence, to hold blessing, to walk in peace that can't be stolen. That's why it was so heavy, because the container being built in you is larger than you realized. Soon, others will look at your life and wonder how you endured. They'll see fruit but won't understand the roots. They'll see light but won't know the nights it took to kindle it. But you'll know. And you'll be able to point back and say, it was God. Every step, every scar, every silence, it was God. The pressure that nearly destroyed you will one day be the evidence that you were carrying something only heaven could deliver. There comes a point when exhaustion itself becomes a language. Your body speaks it in sighs. Your soul speaks it in silence. Your spirit whispers it in restless nights. You've carried so much that even joy feels heavy. And yet, here you are, still listening, still searching, still reaching for something greater than the grind. That itself is proof of resilience. The world has trained you to believe that worth is measured by output. Work harder, climb faster, prove yourself endlessly. But heaven speaks a different rhythm. Rest is warfare, surrender is strategy. And the more you begin to live by this rhythm, the more unrecognizable your life will become. Think about Jesus asleep in the boat during the storm. His disciples panicked, certain they would drown, but he rested. Why? Because peace is not the absence of storms, it is authority in the midst of them. His rest wasn't ignorance, it was dominance. His calmness was a declaration, this storm doesn't own me. You need that same authority in your own chaos. Bills may pile, relationships may fracture, uncertainty may swirl, but peace is not something you beg for, it's something you carry. And when you carry it, everything around you must respond. This is the season where heaven is teaching you to respond differently, not with panic, but with presence, not with fear, but with faith, not with striving, but with surrender. And that shift changes everything. Think about Paul and Silas in the prison cell, shackled, beaten, humiliated, from the outside, hopeless. But instead of despair, they sang. Their praise broke the atmosphere, and the chains fell, not only for them but for everyone around them. Do you see it? Your response in the midnight hour doesn't just affect you, it sets others free. This is why your endurance matters. This is why your worship in the dark matters. Someone else's release is tied to your refusal to give up. Your perseverance is not private, it is catalytic. And here's what hell doesn't want you to know. Peace is terrifying to the enemy. When you are frantic, you are predictable. When you are exhausted, you are vulnerable. But when you are at rest, you are unshakable. Rest makes you a mystery. Rest hides you in the shadow of the Almighty, and in that shadow, you are untouchable. It's time to stop apologizing for slowing down. Stop feeling guilty for needing stillness. Stop confusing exhaustion with faithfulness. True faith trusts that God works while you rest. True faith believes that God can open doors without your frantic pushing. True faith knows that favor does what effort cannot. Look at Ruth. She wasn't striving to be noticed. She simply gleaned faithfully in the fields, and in her faithfulness, Boaz noticed. Her destiny wasn't built on striving, it was birthed in consistency and trust. Or Mary, chosen to carry Christ. She wasn't campaigning for attention. She was living quietly, surrendered, available. Heaven saw her heart and entrusted her with the greatest assignment in history. That's how destiny works. Not by clawing, but by trusting. Not by manipulating, but by resting. Not by grasping, but by receiving. So shift your posture. Stop bracing for the worst. Start preparing for the best. Expect goodness. Anticipate favor. Believe that provision is chasing you, not the other way around. Scripture says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." Do you hear it? Goodness follows. Mercy follows. You don't have to outrun them, they're already on your trail. Let's speak about fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It feeds on what you don't know. But faith thrives in promises. Faith feeds on what you've already been told. And heaven has already spoken over you. Chosen, called, beloved, set apart. That word outweighs every whisper of fear. Fear tells you you're late. Faith says you're right on time. Fear tells you you're overlooked. Faith says you're reserved. Fear tells you you're too broken. Faith says you're being rebuilt. Which voice will you agree with? This moment right here is about alignment. Alignment with heaven's truth instead of earth's lies. Alignment with peace instead of panic. Alignment with faith instead of fear. And alignment always precedes acceleration. Once your spirit agrees with heaven, momentum follows. Doors open, opportunities appear, provision flows. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stood still long enough for God to move. Remember Isaiah 40, "Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is renewal. Waiting is heaven's way of saying, "Let me prepare the wind before you soar." You've been flapping your wings, exhausted, trying to create lift on your own. But eagles don't flap endlessly, they wait for the wind. When it comes, they stretch their wings and rise higher without strain. That's your next chapter, rising without striving. And when you rise, it won't just be for you. Your rising will inspire others. Your breakthrough will become their blueprint. Your peace will become their permission. That's why the weight has been so heavy, because the testimony will be so wide. So, lift your eyes. The horizon is changing. The night is breaking. The first rays of dawn are already piercing the darkness. And soon, what has felt endless will be over. Don't lose heart now. Don't surrender to despair now. You're closer than you think. Every contraction is proof that birth is near. Every storm is evidence that peace is about to manifest. Every attack is confirmation that breakthrough is on the horizon. And when it comes, you won't just walk into blessing, you'll run into it. You won't just taste overflow, you'll carry it. You won't just witness change, you'll become it. The storm has raged, but hear me, you are not sinking, you are shifting. The waves that tried to drown you will become the very platform you walk upon. There's a truth few want to admit. Sometimes it isn't the storm outside that wears us down, it's the storm inside. The mind loops regrets like broken records. The heart replays betrayals until they echo louder than promises. The body carries fatigue from decades of pushing beyond its limits. That inner storm can be more violent than any circumstance around you. But let me remind you, storms are not permanent. Winds shift, waves settle, skies clear, and the same will happen in you. The chaos within is not your destiny, it's a season. And seasons always change. Your mind has been a battlefield. Thoughts of too late, not enough, forgotten, have fired like arrows. But heaven has equipped you with a shield stronger than those arrows. Truth. Truth that says, you are chosen, you are seen, you are not behind. Every lie has an expiration date, and truth always outlives deception. It may have felt like lies defined you, but truth is about to rewrite your story. Think about Peter. He denied Christ 3 times, crushed under shame, certain his failure was final. Yet it was Peter who later stood in boldness, preaching to thousands at Pentecost. His denial didn't disqualify him, it deepened his dependence. The same will be true for you. Your failures are not your finish line, they are the soil for redemption. And what about Thomas, called the doubter, remembered for questioning? But that same Thomas carried the gospel farther than most, into lands no one else dared travel. His doubt didn't destroy him, it anchored his faith in tangible encounter. The same is possible for you. Your doubts don't disqualify you, they make space for encounters that will silence every question. This is the paradox of grace. The very areas where you feel weakest are often the exact places where heaven releases its strongest power. The cracks you tried to hide are where the light shines through. So instead of cursing your cracks, embrace them. Instead of resenting your past, redeem it. Instead of running from pain, let it become your pulpit. Because the very things that nearly destroyed you will one day be the evidence that God was with you all along. Do you remember Jacob's ladder? He dreamed of angels ascending and descending, and when he woke, he said, "Surely the Lord was in this place, and I did not know it." That's how your life will feel soon. You'll look back at the darkest nights and realize heaven was present, even when you felt abandoned. That realization changes everything. It turns despair into gratitude. It transforms regret into reverence. It replaces fear with awe. Here's what you must grasp. You have not wasted your years. Not a single tear was meaningless. Not a single prayer was unheard. Not a single act of faith was ignored. Even the silence was filled with strategy. Yes, you've been hidden. Yes, you've been delayed. But hiddenness is protection, not punishment. Delay is refinement, not rejection. Silence is strategy, not absence. Think about Noah again, locked inside the ark for months. To outsiders, it looked like confinement. To heaven, it was consecration. While the flood destroyed, the ark preserved. While others drowned, Noah was being prepared to rebuild. That's what your hidden season has been. It's not confinement, it's construction. And construction always looks messy before it looks complete. Don't judge the project while it's unfinished. Heaven is still building. Heaven is still painting. Heaven is still arranging. The day will come when what confused you will make sense, when what hurt you will heal others, when what seemed wasted will shine as wisdom. But until then, You must rest in the truth that God knows what He's doing. He knows when to open the door, when to shift the season, when to turn the page. And when He does, you will see how every moment aligned perfectly. Let's also speak about provision, because I know it weighs heavy on your heart. You've carried financial strain like a chain around your chest. Nights calculating numbers, days stretching pennies. You've convinced yourself that survival depends only on your grind. But listen, Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "It is God who gives you the power to get wealth. Not the world, not your hustle, not your sleepless striving God. Wealth in His kingdom isn't only money, it's wholeness, peace in your soul, strength in your body, clarity in your spirit, and yes, provision in your hands. But that provision flows from rest, not restlessness. It flows from favor, not fear. You are entering a season where favor will accomplish more than years of effort ever could, where doors will open without manipulation, where opportunities will appear without explanation, where resources will flow without desperation. And when it happens, it won't just cover your needs, it will overflow into others. Because blessing is never meant to stop with you, it's designed to flow through you. So release the fear of lack, release the grip of anxiety, release the lie that your worth is tied to your bank account. Heaven is your source, and when heaven funds you, no earthly shortage can stop it. Lift your eyes from scarcity to abundance, from striving to surrender, from fear to faith. Because the same God who fed thousands with a few loaves, the same God who filled jars of oil until debts were paid, the same God who multiplied fish in Peter's net, that same God is not finished with you. Breathe this in. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too small. You are exactly where heaven can reveal its strength. And soon, you'll realize the storm inside you was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to deliver you into a peace so deep that it becomes your new address. The war within your mind is ending. What once roared like thunder will soon whisper like wind, and you'll walk in peace no storm can steal. You've been conditioned to measure life by milestones, by what you have achieved, by what you can show, by what others can applaud. But heaven doesn't count like that. Heaven measures by surrender, by faith, by the depth of trust you carry in unseen seasons. That's why so much of your journey has felt backwards. While others sprint ahead, you've been held still. While others climb ladders, you've been placed in silence. While others display success, you've been asked to hide. Yet that's not failure, that's favor, because heaven protects what it treasures. Think of David again, hidden in the fields long after Samuel poured oil on his head. The crown was promised, but the process demanded waiting. Had he rushed, he would have ruined it. But in the waiting, he learned to sing psalms, to fight lions, to shepherd with gentleness. Every hidden day prepared him for public authority. This is what your pause has been doing for you. It's been preparing your character to hold your calling, because calling without character collapses, influence without integrity implodes. Heaven would rather make you wait than watch you waste. And waiting doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, waiting is often where the most profound work takes place. Seeds sprout underground long before they break the surface. Babies develop in silence before they cry in daylight. Caterpillars transform unseen before butterflies emerge in color. Hiddenness doesn't mean lifelessness, it means life is growing where eyes cannot see. So, stop despising the dark, stop fearing the silence, stop assuming delay equals denial. These are the places where heaven works most deeply. But I know what you've asked. When will it be my turn? You've seen others promoted, celebrated, blessed, while you remain behind the curtain. That ache is real, and heaven doesn't dismiss it. But remember this. Just because someone else's time has come doesn't mean yours has passed. The God who appointed their season has not forgotten yours. Ecclesiastes declares, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under heaven." Your season is written, your appointment is secure. And when it comes, nothing will delay it, and no one will deny it. The truth is, you've been equipped for more than you realize. Even in your quiet season, heaven has been depositing gifts, wisdom forged in pain, discernment sharpened by disappointment, compassion birthed through tears. These treasures don't vanish, they accumulate. And when the moment of unveiling arrives, you won't just step forward, you'll overflow with what you've carried all along. Look at Esther. Her beauty may have caught the king's eye, but her wisdom saved her people. That wisdom wasn't taught in banquets, it was built in silence. And when crisis came, her hidden preparation became her public testimony. That's the pattern heaven is weaving in you. You are being built in ways you don't yet recognize. You are being refined in places you don't yet appreciate. And when the call comes, you'll realize every tear, every pause, every lonely night was part of the design. So let this truth anchor you. You are not overlooked, you are reserved. Reserved for an assignment uniquely tied to your story. Reserved for a role no one else can fill. Reserved for a season that will reveal why every delay was necessary. And here's the shock, you won't just survive into blessing. You will thrive into it, you will rise into it, you will shine into it. Because heaven doesn't invest this much into preparation only for you to fade. Heaven invests because the return will ripple across lives you haven't even met yet. That's why the struggle has been generational. You've been breaking patterns that crushed your family before you. You've been dismantling cycles that enslaved those behind you. Your endurance is not just about you, it's about everyone connected to your lineage. And here's what the enemy fears most. If you stand, generations stand. If you rise, families rise. If you walk in freedom, chains snap for more than just yourself. That's why the battle has been so relentless. You're not only carrying your destiny, you're carrying the destiny of many. But don't let that weight intimidate you. Let it inspire you, because heaven never gives assignments without grace to match them. The same grace that has kept you thus far will carry you further. This is the moment where you shift from victim to victor, from waiting to walking, from hiddenness to unveiling. Not because you've earned it, but because heaven has declared it. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders, breathe again. The days ahead are not repeats of the days behind. A new season is dawning, and you are stepping into it fully equipped, fully seen, fully chosen. Remember Isaiah's words, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Your light has come, not will come, but has come, already here, already shining, already breaking through the cracks of silence. So, walk forward with this confidence. You are stepping into timing that was crafted before you were born. You are walking into doors that no man can shut. You are entering a chapter that no setback can stop. And when it unfolds, it won't feel like striving. It will feel like soaring. The season that silenced you will soon become the very proof that heaven had been preparing you all along. Every story must eventually reveal what it's been building toward, and yours is no different. You've walked through silence, through storms, through nights so heavy you thought morning might never come. And yet, here you are, not broken beyond repair, but standing on the edge of something new. This is the paradox of divine timing. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. What you thought was punishment was preparation. What you labeled as wasted years are about to become the very foundation of the greatest years you'll ever know. Heaven has been weaving threads you couldn't see, and now the tapestry is nearly complete. You will look back and realize why certain doors shut, why certain people left, why certain prayers seemed unanswered. The no's were not cruelty, they were kindness. The silence was not indifference, it was insulation. The waiting was not emptiness, it was incubation. And now, the season of unveiling begins. Not unveiling in noise or spectacle, but unveiling in power. Heaven doesn't need flashing lights to prove a point. Heaven proves itself in transformation, hearts healed, minds renewed, burdens lifted, purposes ignited. That's the unveiling you are about to walk into. Do not be surprised when peace replaces panic. Do not be shocked when provision flows where scarcity reigned. Do not doubt when opportunities arrive in places you were once excluded. Because heaven specializes in reversals. Look at Joseph, one day in prison, the next in Pharaoh's court. Look at Esther, one day hidden, the next saving a nation. Look at Jesus, one day in a tomb, the next resurrected in glory. Heaven writes sudden shifts, and you're about to live one. But here's what you must remember. This isn't just about you. What heaven releases into your life is meant to flow through you. You are being blessed to be a blessing, healed to be a healer, lifted to lift others. That's why your journey has been so heavy. It's not only carrying your story, but also the freedom of others who will follow you. When your testimony unfolds, people will see more than your resilience. They'll see heaven's fingerprints all over your life. They'll recognize that survival wasn't luck, it was grace. They'll understand that restoration wasn't coincidence, it was covenant. And in that moment, you'll face a choice. Will you keep the blessing to yourself, or will you allow it to become a river flowing outward? I believe you already know the answer. You've been shaped for generosity, for compassion, for influence that changes atmospheres. This is why your scars are holy. They're not blemishes to hide, they're stories to tell. Stories that whisper to the weary, "If I made it, so can you." Stories that remind the broken, healing is possible. Stories that shine in darkness like lanterns guiding others home. Let's bring this close with clarity. Your season of striving is ending. Your season of rest is beginning. Not passive rest, but powerful rest. Rest that builds strength. Rest that multiplies provision. Rest that positions you exactly where heaven needs you. And yes, let me pause here once more to say thank you to every soul that has carried this message forward, through comments, through shares, through support. Your generosity is not forgotten. Oversubscription is real, but so is gratitude. This journey is not mine alone, it's ours. And together, we spread light into places where darkness thought it had the final word. So walk differently now. Carry yourself as one who knows they are chosen. Speak differently, as one who trusts promises over panic. Rest differently, as one who understands rest is not retreat but victory. Lift your voice in agreement with heaven's truth. Say it aloud. I am chosen. I am seen. I am rising. Again, I am chosen. I am seen. I am rising. Let those words echo until your spirit believes them fully. Because this is not the end, it is the unveiling. It is the crossing from shadow into light, from waiting into walking, from hiddenness into destiny. You will look back and understand. Every sleepless night, every heavy burden, every whispered prayer, all of it was worth it for the glory now revealed. The silence is over, the striving is finished, the waiting has ended. Now walk boldly into the chapter heaven has already written in your name.